Good evening. This is election 2023. The force in your community. The force has spoken, and we have all the results in now from the Metropolitan Borough of Bury. The reason why I've had a delay is because I've been watching all of these results as and when they came in. Some of my predictions were correct, and some of my predictions were incorrect. I can now tell you that Labour now have 31 seats. They are still the largest group. They and Radcliffe First have 8 seats, the Conservatives have 10, and the Independents, Yvonne Wright, has 1. I want to thank all the people that very kindly came on my programme Bench Radcliffe on Sunday to be interviewed. And out of the 6 people that came on to be interviewed, 2 people were successfully elected. And I will say commiserations to Steve Wright, who has lost in Holyrood. That means now there are no Liberal Democrats at all in Prestwich or in the Metropolitan Borough of Bury. It is a sea of red across Prestwich because Labour now have all 9 seats. I also want to say very special thanks to Martin West, who did exceptionally well in Bettis as an independent candidate. I just want to bring this result up. I've got it obviously in front of me. He came second, beating the Conservative candidate. Labour still held on to the seat, which is what I thought they would do, but Martin got 216 votes. So, he did exceptionally well, considering that he has stood before, but it's under the second time that he has actually stood. And the other person who I interviewed, of course, was Dr. Shadman Zaman. He got 237 votes in Pilkington Park, but I know for a fact he did work very hard by getting around all the houses and doing really, really hard work. So commiserations there, but obviously congratulations and to Mary Walsh and to Mike Smith, who both held on to their seats for Radcliffe First in Radcliffe West and Radcliffe East, respectively. And I will say heartfelt, very, very heartfelt commiserations as well to Ken Simpson, who didn't win for Radcliffe First in Radcliffe North and Dangerous. But the difference in votes there was not very much at all, because Joe Lancaster held on to the seat for the Conservatives, 1,279. Ken got 1,218, so it was very, very close there. So thank you very much indeed to all those people who have been tuning in and the people who've actually come on and been interviewed. Those interviews are not just for election time, by the way. Those interviews are available so that people can come on to my programmes on a regular basis. And I know Steve comes on quite often as well, and I know he's not one in Holyrood, but he's still welcome to come on a monthly basis to discuss politics and a whole variety of various different things. And that is open to everyone, whichever political persuasion or any walks of life who want to come on to Bench Radcliffe on Sunday, then please do so. So let's just have a look then now at how everything fares out across Bury. I've not covered everything in a stretch this time, like I did last time. Ramsbottom, no change at all. North Manor did not go Labour like I expected it to do, but the majority for the Conservatives was very, very weak indeed. Let's just bring that result up now, so I can actually just go through that specific one with everybody. Okay, so North Manor, the Conservatives, Khalid Hussain, 1,571, but John Southworth for Labour, 1,489. So that is, well, it's less than 100 votes really from there, or just over that. So we'll see what happens with that specific seat next year. But Bury West did not change, but again, the overall percentage of vote from Labour was definitely an increase, because Shahbaz Arif won 1,596 votes, but Adnan Chowdhury for the for Labour got 1,112. That's only 400 votes difference there. So that was a remarkable achievement there for Labour in Bury West. Right, okay, so let's just go across the rest. So I see a red in Unsworth, no changes anticipated there. Michael Rubenstein did win Pilkington Park for Labour, as I predicted there. Radcliffe East, Radcliffe West, both held on by for Radcliffe First with very good majorities. A close win for Radcliffe North for Conservatives. Tottington, Wendy did not win in Tottington as I anticipated. In Garside did held on for the Conservatives there. Holyrood, St Mary's and Central now sealed red across Prestwich, and Elton. I made an error there, and I want to sincerely apologise. I thought it was a Conservative candidate that was up for re-election this time. It wasn't. It was the incumbent Labour candidate that was up for re-election. So Labour held on to that seat. So it wasn't again, not this year anyway. So apologies there. More silence, as I say, very easy. Red Bales, no change at all whatsoever. Right, okay. So that is how everything looks across Bury. Labour are well and truly in control of Bury Council because to add everything up there together, I'm not going to main mass, but Labour have 31 seats, the Conservatives have 10, Radcliffe First have 8, and Independent Yvonne Wright has 1. So they have a healthy majority. But just one other thing just to think about now, because this is a common ground which has been going on, not just here in Bury, but other parts of the country. Independent people are getting fed up of the mainstream politicians, whether it's Labour, whether it's Conservative. The rise of Radcliffe First, I mentioned earlier on about in Bolton, where Horwich has got a first party as well, Horwich First. So therefore, they have independents are rising. So they are definitely the force in the community without any shadow of a doubt whatsoever, and these independents will continue. And this is a wake-up call for the politicians of the main parties who sometimes, not all of them, I'm not saying everybody does on a local level, I'm just saying this, not taking not thinking of anybody in particular or anything like that, but certain politicians in the main parties take the voters for granted, which is what then causes for a whole variety of very different things to happen. So this is a wake-up call for the Prime Minister. There's all kinds of different rumours to how this would reflect if there was a general election. We'll discuss all that next year when it actually happens. But some are saying, could it be a 1992 moment for Sir Keir Starmer, or could it even be a David Cameron moment of 2010 for him? We'll have to wait and see on that. I personally think the Conservatives have had a hammering. They may not have had the complete massive wipeout in Bury, which I thought they may possibly do, but they were definitely not far short there at all. I want to thank everybody once again that's been streaming in and watching everything I do. Some people might think I'm daft doing this. I quite enjoy doing this. I don't want to get involved actually in the frontline politics, knocking on doors and saying, "Oh, you're going to vote for me." Those days are definitely over. I enjoy doing what I'm doing here. But I just want to thank the candidates who have actually been in contact with people such as Wendy Warrington, who was in Tottington, who didn't win, of course, Mary Walsh and Mike Smith, and of course, I've been in contact with Steve Wright. I've also had Dr. Shadman as well, and of course, Martin West and his agent. So, thank you indeed to all the people there, as I say, that have been Dr. Shadman Zaman. I want to apologise as well for because obviously there's a whole variety of very different names. There's some people who I've been just much over recent days, and apologies about slight name slips which has gone wrong slightly over these election results. But we have had so many different people that have been looking at results and everything for, so apologies there. Right, that is it from me from this election special. Not as many today as what I was actually initially anticipating, because of course I thought, well, I may as well wait for all those results to come through rather than just going in and dribs and drabs. So that's it. Bury does still have a council. Labour are still in control. I will do this again next year, but it will also be a general election most likely as well, or it could be that the general election is later on. If that is the case, then I'm looking forward to the challenge of covering a general election as well as what happens here in Bury. But whichever way, we all have the right and the freedom to vote, and it's up to each and every one of us how we decide to use that vote. I will be back on Sunday with Ben Shatliff on Sunday. I don't know if we're going to do a programme as yet tomorrow with in the coronation, but I will say God save the King, and thank you all very, very much indeed for joining me and for being part of election 2023, the force in your community. A very good evening.